Hi, everyone. My name is Gia. I'm a luxury brand consultant, brand equity partner, and founder of Lord and Partners. And today I'm going to be doing just a brief dive into Italian luxury house, Bottega Veneta. And I'm going to talk a little bit about its parent company, Kering, and brand marketing and how it really does impact the luxury industry as a whole. I do have a presentation laid out. And so just diving right into the world of Kering, Bottega Veneta's parent company, it does house other luxury companies like Gucci, Saint Laurent, Balenciaga. And so the first half of this year has been very interesting, not just for Kering, but a lot of luxury brands because we are in the midst of a global luxury downturn. So Kering is not the only one to experience this revenue decline. And so they did see a 14% decline from its $3.9 billion in revenue, largely in part because of Gucci's underperformance in sales. This is one of Kering's largest brands. And so not only, has it impacted the group as a whole, but it's also reflective of the global luxury downturn. But with that being said, I wanted to dive into Bottega Veneta's strategy. And this brand has really shown a lot of resilience and it really does know how to drive that desirability. And it's something that we're seeing a lot of luxury brands lack today. They really lack driving desirability, craftsmanship, and just really understanding how to really gain that exclusive approach again. And so we're seeing Bottega Veneta do that very, very well. So it did outperform Gucci and Saint Laurent under the Kering umbrella within the first half of the year. And that was largely in part because of the strategy that was put in place back in 2018 by its creative director, Daniel Lee. And so it really helped to really strengthen their brand positioning and really help them navigate the luxury downturn as a whole. So, looking a little bit closer at their strategy, currently, if you go on Instagram, they do not have social media because the brand is more so focusing on maintaining that mystique. And so it is expected to maintain that momentum through a series of different projects. I know they've created a lot of atelier programs, craftsmanship programs. They have a lot of direct communication efforts that they're beginning to invest in within 2025, as well as some new retail projects. And as far as consumers are concerned, they really want to focus on the high-end segments. So that goes back to a little bit what I said in my previous video on how the aspirational consumer within the luxury industry is starting to kind of dwindle away given the price hikes and inflation. So we have a lot of macro and microeconomic issues because of that. But it's still planning to maintain that dream factor with aspirational consumers. However, we are going to see a lot more direct efforts geared towards the higher end segment. So, and also in part, a lot of their strategy is driven by retail sales, which was up 8%. And we're also seeing that high exclusive clienteling approach that they've been taking for quite some time now. And so that has definitely fueled a lot of their performance. And of course, you know, a brand is not going to do as well if it doesn't have a great product mix. And we've seen that with Bottega Veneta. They've been able to have their entry level products with their handbag division and also be able to offer a lot more higher value offerings through other leather goods. And you also see how they've been able to keep their branding consistent through craftsmanship, their intricciato technique that was pretty much done since the mid 60s. So their most recent campaign to date, everyone has been talking about this. I definitely felt like I needed to come on here and really just break this entire campaign down. There was a host of influential talent from Sarah Paulson to Tyler the Creator. The campaign is called Craft Our Language, and Bottega's 50th anniversary has arrived, and it's one of the ways that they really wanted to retell their story. And so we're seeing in this, video kind of a poetic and emotional depth to each of the artists' work. They're highlighting um their craftsmanship and how they do that and how they approach that on an everyday basis. And so I thought that this campaign was amazing because it really further and reinforces the brand's imagery as a brand that can be trusted with high quality leather goods and still be able to maintain its craftsmanship techniques, the intricciato technique that they've infused since the 1960s. And they really did an amazing job fueling that throughout the entire video. And so when I saw this, I immediately thought, this is brand marketing at its peak. This is brand marketing indeed. And so it's something, again, like I said in the beginning, a lot of luxury brands have lost this approach. But we are still seeing how luxury brands, given the rise of advertising costs, that a lot of brands are taking the route of doing a little bit more of an organic approach to reaching their consumers as opposed to more of a performance driven marketing. So we are going to be expected to see brand marketing emphasized in the luxury industry within coming years. So it's less about ad costs and performance marketing driven marketing like clicks and funnels and sales and conversions. It's definitely going to be more of an organic approach to acquire and retain consumers. So, and it's also a great way to really appeal to new generations. So the overall goal and the focus of brand marketing in general is to really build long-term value, emotional connection, and brand equity. And it's something that I expect to see emerging brands tapping into to build brand equity from scratch, and for legacy brands to preserve and protect their brand equity, but also preserve the legacy of the brand. So when you think about brand marketing as a whole, it really is to enforce and talk about what the brand is, like, who they are and what they stand for. You think about all of the key elements of building brand marketing efforts, or basically infusing brand marketing efforts throughout all of the activities across the company. It's always centered on building trust and preserving that trust. And a lot of times this is done through long form storytelling. Like, we're seeing this in Bottega Veneta's Craft is Our Language campaign, and they've done an exceptional job at it. And they've done that through infusing like the partnerships and influential talent to talk about what their approach to craftsmanship is. And so right there, right off the bat, that's sharing their values and really what they stand for. Immediately, your everyday consumer can relate to that when they're not only, designing clothes, but when they're creating music or when they're writing poetry. That immediately shows that connection, and that relatability. So the ability to really integrate the brand into a consumer's lifestyle, that everyday lifestyle, is really important when it comes to brand marketing. And also, as it relates to channels, brand marketing, again, like has to feel organic. Consumers do not want to feel sold to, they don't want to feel advertised to, and they know immediately when you do. So it can be done through a variety of different channels like PR and social media content, depending on the type of channels that relate closely to your DNA. In this case, Bottega Veneta isn't using Instagram, but it's using YouTube as a more long form approach to telling the story, to really build emotional connection with their consumers a step further than your short form video. So it can be done through brand campaigns, through long form content, through events, through partnerships, and again, as long as it feels organic. And when you think about measuring the success of a brand marketing campaign, you do see that it's directly connected to brand perception. And this is where consumers' overview of a brand is based upon, like, okay, when I see this brand, what do I think about the quality of this brand? What do I think about the price and the experience? Those automatic connections that that consumers connect with the brand is super key. And that's how you've done it successfully well, if these are in alignment with each other. Share of voice is also extremely important, especially in today's culture, that cultural relevancy and also being able to ensure that a brand is relevant through a socio-political cause or a macroeconomic issue, and making sure that they're well positioned in that, and they have, some sort of say or influence on a consumer's decisions shows that there has been some success when it comes to brand marketing, even when it comes to long-term retention of the brand or retention of consumers. Acquiring a consumer is one thing, but to be able to retain them really shows that the brand is able to reinforce brand loyalty. And then, so this is something that we've been seeing, that is critical in luxury nowadays. It's, brands are finally taking a step away from traditional performance marketing practices to a more organic brand marketing approach. So I would love to know what you guys think in the comments and where exactly you think Bottega Veneta is geared up to go within the rest of this year, especially in the midst of a luxury downturn. And yes, if you guys have any questions in regards to brand marketing and how you can incorporate that into your everyday corporate strategy, feel free to reach out. And yes, thank you all for watching.